Hi people and hello my Chili Con Carnage crew, it's Chili here, the man who produces Iron From My Eyes, and I'm doing a 5-minute review on Mushroomhead's newest album called The Devil. Mushroomhead is perhaps one of the most underrated bands of the 90s that were lost in the wave of the new metal bands of its time, and this is due to, of course, the group itself not exactly fitting the genre and also their likeness, which was shared by a more iconic band for the era that became the poster boys for the aggression of this style of music. And before you Mushroomhead fans jump in with a quip about doing it first, then need I remind you of bands such as Gwar or Kiss who did it before them. No, instead Mushroomhead were a band that favoured blending very odd styles of music in an approach that would be similar to Mike Patton's band Mr. Bungle, except with some crushing riffs, and I think this is a perfect comparison because of the vocal styles found on here are very similar. The band saw some initial success with their compilation album Double X and their record 13, which included the anthemic tune Sun Doesn't Rise, and this was my introduction to the band. Fast forward some 20 years and about 20 different lineup changes, and here we are in this day and age with Call the Devil, the band's 9th album. So let's discuss. The band released 3 singles from this album, with Fall in Line, Pre-Packaged and We Don't Care, and my first thought on Fall in Line was, where is the excitement? This song feels like such a generic metal tune. I thought I was listening to something by Five Finger Death Punch. I expect this to be used in the next WrestleMania event as someone's theme song. Maybe it was written with this in mind, considering the title too. Pre-Packaged wasn't too different from the previous single, and that fell into the cracks of being just some other simple yet effective tune. Nothing fancy, but nothing really memorable. As for the song We Don't Care, this was done to a different beat though, and while being a much slower paced single compared to the rest, it felt more impactful with its message that is straight to the point. This is a song that I could get behind, and it gave me hope that this record wouldn't end up in some dollar bin at a store a few years later. And you can say all you want to protect your pride. No, honestly, I am not the biggest Mushroomhead fan. In fact, it was only through a short deep dive into the band's best material that I began to truly appreciate what the group had to offer. I of course knew of the band back in the day, and this was thanks to Deviant Art, and in particular there was an artwork that pitted Slipknot against Mushroomhead, but that was the extent of my knowledge of the group. I just knew they existed. Clearly though, they are a talented bunch of musicians who can write awesome music, but with all these lineup changes, it made me wonder if the band still had it in them to write a record worthy of praise. I mean, at the end of the day, for a band that wants to separate themselves from their Slipknot counterparts, they are certainly not doing their part by including 4 percussionists. I get that you want to create a unique sound, but how much does 2 water drum members bring to the songwriting table at the end of the day? Clearly it's 3 quarts of f*** according to the Wikipedia entry of the writers in the album. Shit, I just realised that for a brief period the band had 2 bass players as well. I'm sure there's a reason, because you don't need 2 goddamn bass players in a band. So when it comes to the other songs on hand, I felt that there were some standouts, such as on Emptiness, which feels like the band took a song fresh out of Faith No More's Angel Dust album and put it on a new production with this record. I love this song, and it's great. Another intriguing tune is Grand Gesture, which really lives up to the name with its epic scale of instrumental sections and build-up, although it doesn't quite hit the precipice required for the ultimate release, instead blueballing us with a solo guitar riff before building back up and fading out. Bit of a lackluster finish, but still passable. Also, Torn in Two goes hard. Kick-ass effort. Another aspect of the band that I felt was a bit lackluster was Jackie LaPonza's vocals, which feel more like a guest vocalist than a full-time band member, and I feel that if they included her in more of the songs, that could really grow into something. And this is from a band that has 3 vocalists. But then again, Mastodon does too, except they actually play instruments at the same time. Here we have a band that contains 10 members to perform their duties. It's perplexing, and it makes me think the only reason they chose 10 was because it was an easier number to divide by when the touring money came in. Okay, I have nothing against bands that have a huge ensemble. I've seen George Clinton perform after all, and that guy's got nothing short of the number of people you will find at a fast food restaurant at peak hour on stage at any one point. I just find it so odd when it doesn't really feel like you can hear the full band on the record. Now, there are still a few odd songs that don't quite hit the highs on here, with one of the biggest songs I can think of being Shame in a Basket, a song that lasts for 8 minutes and feels like it's double that in duration when listening to it. There is nothing going for this track, and the 1.5 minute intro serves as nothing more than an alluring tease for something that sounded epic and was just a waste of my time in the end. Another is UIOP, Final Reprise, a song that made me wonder if the album was a concept record or if this was just a mini operatic to the second part for the earlier song, We Don't Care, that sees the band do their best to give their modern day take on Pink Floyd's The Trial, except this song would have been better positioned as a song towards the end. Meh. Hallucination and Hideous are also two indecipherable songs that sit so close together that I had to check that I didn't hit replay on the song, as they're both pretty generic and very forgettable. Doom Goose as well, what a terrible track name, and could have just been left off the album. There are certainly some intriguing tracks on offer, but there are also a lot of lackluster songs within. There is also a lack of inspiration within the band that certainly made them a wondrous group to begin with. Maybe it's due to the time and an ever-evolving music scene that the group has slowly faded into obscurity, even more so I guess, in their field of avant-garde metal. But then again, I know that the band were actually trying to go for a more commercial approach in regards to this record. What has changed over the 30 years? Maybe they have to make a career out of this. At the end of the day, you can't sell out after 30 years of making a name for yourself in the underground metal scene, especially with a slew of newer bands emerging and doing this style in a more interesting way. Instead, the band just feel different and not in a good way, constantly relying on common metal tropes to get them through when they used to be that band that thrived in that scene. Instead, I will give this album a score of 6 million chilies on the spicy scale, with my favourite tracks being Emptiness, We Don't Care, and Grand Gesture. Well, colour me intrigued in regards to this record. It's not half bad. It's a shame the album cover looked like it was designed by a 13-year-old who first discovered the sepia tone and colour palette balance in Adobe Photoshop, but hey, whatever. It's still got songs that are decent enough on here, but there's a lot of skippable crap at the end of the day for a 60-minute runtime record. If you've enjoyed this content, make sure to smash that like button, subscribe to us, and stay notified for future music-related content, because it keeps our manager happy at the end of the day. We are also on Discord, Instagram, Facebook, and all those other social platforms if you want to check us out. As always, people, you have a great day and stay spicy.